It is 6 o'clock, and I am going to call to order the Village of Franklin Special Council meeting of Monday, November 24th, 2025. Can we please do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Evan, roll call, please.
President David Goldberg.
Here.
Trustee Pam Hansen. Trustee Daniel Ferris.
Here.
Trustee Abigail Gates.
Here.
Trustee Angelina Slaka.
Present.
Trustee David South.
Here. Okay, we have 3 items on the agenda. Public hearing for our CDBG allocation, and then a consideration of our CDBG allocation, and then a consideration of our purchasing policy. Anybody else have any comments for the agenda? Any additions? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Solly, second by Gates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Public requests and comments. I see we have people in the crowd. If anybody's here for something other than what's on our agenda, it's time to come forward. Feel free to speak. Nobody? All right, I'll close public comments. Next item on the agenda is in order to allocate CDBG funds, we have to schedule and hold a public hearing. So at this time, I'm going to open at 6:04 the public hearing for our 2026 CDBG allocation. Rachel, you want to give us a brief description of anything, what we're doing here? I don't want to put you on the spot. So essentially, the public hearing is to take comments from anybody from the public who wishes to comment on what are proposed or any suggested allocations for our CDBG funds. We typically have been getting $7,000 a year, which I believe looks like that's our allocation for this year. So if anybody from the public would like to speak, if there's any organizations that would like us to consider the allocation of our funds, this is also a time to speak. So if anybody would like to address us on this subject, please come on up.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Tanya Meddy-Hammond. I'm the Vice President of the Franklin Community Association.
And my name is Matt Howell. I'm the treasurer. I've been the treasurer since this past January of FCA.
We're here on behalf of the FCA alongside a few others in the audience, if you guys want to give us a wave. As you know, the FCA is an entirely volunteer-run nonprofit organization managing the park here in downtown Franklin. We host our events and maintain and insure the park entirely by membership dues and donations that are provided by the generosity of our villagers. We don't come to the village for assistance very often, but when the CDBG grant opportunity crossed our path, it sparked an important conversation with our board and one that ultimately led us here this evening.
So this year, as you may know, we hosted the 80th annual Labor Day Roundup and Art Fair, our most cherished and largest event that we spend much of the year prepping for. We were fortunate enough to have just gorgeous weather, plenty of volunteer help, and a huge turnout. For the villagers, the Roundup is more than just a park event. It's a moment when our community comes together and takes pride in all that makes Franklin special. For those visiting from neighboring communities, it's an opportunity for us to show off Franklin's charm and the wonderful community we have cultivated. In many ways, it's Franklin's very best and biggest advertisement, wrapped up in a fun-filled, family-friendly with something for everyone. And of course, the parade, well, that's the heart of the event. It's the moment that brings everyone to the street corners and sidewalks, waiting with excitement. We've always been honored to welcome you, our council members, to participate, and we hope the experience has filled you with the same joy and pride we see in the faces of families lining the routes. While the event brings in thousands of attendees to Franklin each year, what many people don't know is that the event does not pay for itself. In fact, this past year, Even with the perfect conditions, we lost $1,600. I have provided a financial overview, and you'll see that we have approximately $18,000 of fixed costs before we bring in any revenue on the day of the event. And the current revenue streams will continue to not cover our costs, we believe. With this being my first year as treasurer, I spent some time analyzing our finances related to the Roundup, and coupled with my experience in also being the treasurer for the Michigan Thanksgiving Parade. And we believe that a sponsor or sponsors are key for this treasurer tradition to continue for many years to come, which brings us here today.
While we would be very grateful to be considered for the CDBG grant, we recognize there may be guidelines that could limit our eligibility. So we would instead like to ask the Village Council to consider a regular annual $7,000 donation to the FCA to have the Village of Franklin be the lead sponsor of the parade. The donation would cover the direct cost to put on the parade, as well as other fixed costs like the porta potties used by parade goers and the golf carts that both the Franklin Police and the Fire Department use for the event. For 80 years now, the Roundup has been a day when Franklin comes together, when we reconnect with our neighbors and celebrate our village and feel really proud of this place we call home. With the village's partnership as the lead sponsor of the parade, we can ensure this tradition continues to bring joy, pride, and connection for our community for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's not good to see. That's tough. Anybody else?
Oh, okay. I only brought myself. I'm representing Franklin Community Preschool. I am a current parent, former board member, and I'm now currently the WONS teacher. So we're putting our hat in. Our preschool currently bears sole responsibility for maintaining the community playground at the preschools. While small contributions from the FCA and Franklin Baseball helped support us in the past, we haven't had that funding in quite a while. And meanwhile, the usage of the playground has only increased as people have found out about it. So our preschoolers only use the playground. They use it every day, but it's about 1 to 1.5 hours every day, and it's only from September to May. So the playground used by the preschool is pretty minimal compared to the community. Beyond our school hours, thousands of people enjoy the playground annually. Families attending baseball games, Labor Day Roundup, music on the green, cider mill visitors, moms groups. There's a lot of homeschooling groups that come there now, and daily neighborhood visitors. So it's clearly more than just a school playground because of how much it's just used by everyone around us. So we would love to be considered for it. We just wanted to give, I should have brought the treasurer, I guess. In 2023 alone, we spent $18,000 on equipment upgrades and removal of unsafe structures. So each year, we're required by Michigan licensing standards to refresh sand and mulch to meet safety regulations, and that's about $4,000 each year. And this might be unknown, but because of the free preschools that have opened up in the public schools, our enrollment has gone down quite a bit for the 4-year-olds. So we're really struggling to cover the cost of that $4,000 every year. Last year, a one-time $2,500 facade grant from the village funded through Oakland County helped cover this cost, but it's not a sustainable solution. So the $4,000 is what we spend, it's a bare minimum of what we spend each year. If we receive the funds, we would like to add more picnic tables, purchase usable and functioning sand toys, have the 3 to 4 stumps removed at the edge of the playground that I personally tripped over today when I was there. We'd also love to add some landscaping in the spring, and there are just so many ways that we'd be able to utilize this funding for the community to use. Thank you.
Anybody else? No one else? Okay. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:12. So, next item is now the consideration of our CDBG allocation for 2026. Anybody want to start?
I guess just an initial question, did we receive any other interest or applications other than the 2 that presented today?
Baseball League again, I believe.
No.
Nope.
I did not.
Did not?
Okay, that's helpful.
Okay.
Aside from the Roundup financial overview, what other revenue streams does the FCA currently have? And,
We receive dues from our members, and then we have sponsorship of some events like music at the game.
So throughout the year, we have events, some are ticketed, most are free. We bring in revenue from some events like the Uncorked Wine Tasting. That also, of course, goes to putting on those events. And then other than that, it's the dues, the annual dues that we ask the families to pay, and any donations that might come in separately.
And then those dues are primarily to support the park, the upkeep of the park, the cutting of the grass, the insurance, accounting, legal fees.
We don't have that many members either. There's like 300 that give us dues.
so with
With the
dues,
3,000 that live here, not many.
We try every year
Yeah,
to increase it.
But we don't
so
get
for
that.
dues and donations, I understand you're running in a deficit for the roundup. Where does that put you for the year, in terms of what you've raised with dues and what your operating budget or expenditures might be?
I would say we're estimating to come in at about 7,500 to 10,000 profit.
Okay.
Probably
Same,
closer to the 7,500
Okay.
this year. I would say in the last few years, we've run a loss each year overall.
Yeah, the membership, if you look at our annual memberships year over year, we declined, and that's what Lisa's saying, she's on our board and head of our membership committee. It's declined little by little year over year. We've done little things, we've increased the dues by $10 about 2 years ago to kind of help make up for it, kind of encourage donations. With our request for the parade sponsorship is more to ensure that the roundup always happens and that the parade can always happen in the form that it's in. The roundup is an event that's highly affected by the weather. If it's a rainy day, no one comes, and we really don't, we still have to pay for everything. And so there's a lot of fixed costs to the roundup that kind of don't have to do with attendance, that we still are responsible for paying out. So this would really help us ensure that we can continue to put on the roundup year over year, because we know that the dues aren't always a reliable source of our income.
Sasha, question for you. You'd mentioned sort of same question. So you'd mentioned a reduction in enrollment. Is
Sasha,
the,
can you come up here just so that we can pick up the sound?
do you have an idea, what's been the reduction in enrollment year over year? Are you operating in a deficit?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. So we're like barely covering the cost of being able to run the preschool and pay all the teachers and assistants. Really, truly, because the FORS program is what brings in so much to our school, because it's the most full-time that we have. And so last year, we had, I believe, 18 students in the FORS, like full-time, Monday through Friday. And this year, we're down to 10, and even those 10 aren't full-time.
Okay.
Yep. Want me to stay up here?
Any like cost saving measures, any increase of enrollment costs, or how are you, yeah, so I guess my question is between the two, it's like, if you're operating if you've got some revenue to play with, and the preschool might be operating at a deficit, and covering those costs might be out of reach for this year. I think that's something that's important to me
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
for, Sasha, not for you.
Okay.
Sorry, for the FCA, quick question. So when you were presenting, were you requesting for CDBG or further consideration for recurring 7,000?
So I think our understanding was the CDBG grant may not be applicable to the FCA. I had seen that there was, and I hope I was looking at the correct thing online,
Yeah.
but requirement that it goes to certain groups of people that I'm not sure the FCA fits into. Is that correct?
How long have you guys had your 501c3 back? Maybe that, was there a time?
We were informed in late October that we got our 501c3 back retroactive to when we lost it back 3 years ago.
Oh, you lost it 3 years ago,
Or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
It was May 2023, technically when it active,
Okay.
but we were just notified, like Matt said,
Yeah.
that it was retroactively reinstated.
Okay.
Do we know whether they're eligible to receive this grant, Peter?
Did they have to be eligible by the time the CDBG application was?
Well-
That's where I would see it as. Like,
No, I think what Abby's asking is that there was a question from the FCA on whether or not their eligibility is based off of people they serve. But I
So
don't,
if our directive tonight is to determine the outcome of this grant, and we have
Correct.
one recipient, and if the FCA is ineligible to receive it, well, then that makes this discussion pretty
Yeah.
quick and easy, huh?
I can just see it being like, you have to, is there a 501c3 eligibility requirement by the time the application opens? Or is it by the time you award it?
But it's been retroactively.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we can provide our.
Yeah, no, I mean, I trust, I'm not that, yeah. So from my perspective, I feel like, I feel like the Franklin Village does support the Roundup. Like, I know we pay our police a lot of overtime and we do a lot of security and we, obviously allow the use of our property. I would be more, I would like us to do a specific thing, like us take a part of your Roundup and be like, let's have ownership of that. You know what I mean?
And that's why we're.
Kind of like a function of the Roundup that you guys can kind of outsource to us, and like we have a FCA liaison. You know what I mean? Whether it's like I don't know. I feel like the grounds, like, I can see, or even the parade, since we're in the parade and you guys like do a lot of that, for probably building trust and awareness of who your elected officials are. And I feel like that's a good thing, to be like, these are your representatives. But I also feel like the Franklin preschool, like, I feel like it's like the gift that never stops giving. Cause like, I don't know how many people would know that's not part of the FCA, or like a Franklin baseball game that has kids on the playground, and an FCA event that has kids on the playground, Music in the Green that uses the playground. So I kind of feel like we could reevaluate our support of the FCA, but to me, the playground is like the only playground that's open to the public in the village. They've never fenced it in. They've never, required a fee to use it. And I feel like if it wasn't here, you'd be like, how does the village not have a playscape? And I can see the improvements every day. There's people there, and they don't really have these big events. And maybe that could be an opportunity for you guys to join with the preschool. Like have the kids in the parade. I think they were in the parade this year. Yeah, but maybe like the, parents group do the bake sale part or something. Like I feel like there's more partnership opportunities. And then the infrastructure committee was already working on possibly donating for the cost of the mulch and the sand every year for the playground as a fixed cost, similar to what we do or did for the church, for the parking, since we use it as a community asset. But those are my thoughts. And then also too, like the parade, like how can we get some of those costs down to like donations? I don't know, but I know not everyone likes to donate. Do you guys hire help? Is there is there a management fee to this? Like, do you have?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Like, the band that comes, it's from my high school, payment is going to their boosters. I mean,
Yeah.
they need to raise money for them to come, so we need to pay, for example, for that band.
Yeah, as a donation. But I'm saying, do you have any professional? Like, do you use a professional event planner? Do you
Yeah,
use?
maybe Warren's in charge of our parade.
Okay. Oh, hey,
Okay,
Warren.
so I'm Warren
Yeah.
Robinson.
You're the
2646
professional event planner.
Woodward. I'm the professional unprofessional. I am the parade.
Yeah.
Nothing comes to me.
Yeah.
But everything that we do for the parade, it's just expenses to pay for somebody or something. The example is the Oak Park High School Band, which is like this crazy band, which has been probably the greatest thing we've had in 5 years for sure. Prior to that, we had the fife and drum people. Everybody's $1,000, no matter what you do. To have the signs, to have the magnetic signs on the cars. It's not like, to figure out how to get the parade as inexpensive as possible, but realizing that it's not a money-making venture, and how to just do it better. So, I mean, with all due respect, at the recent the Roundup wind-down meeting,
Yeah.
so we talked about the idea that maybe it's time to have a sponsor. Well, we never had a sponsor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open to doing anything, but in the meantime, it is what it is. And, you know, the fact is that the parade brings in a tremendous amount of people that really, you know, like, enjoy Franklin and recognize Franklin, and it's like putting our best foot forward. And this last year was tremendous in terms of the numbers. And, you know, if we can get the funding, you know, or by way of, or get the sponsorship, or however, you know, would be really very, very helpful and consistent with this village sort of taking care of itself. Okay, and this parade is just an extension of that. You know, I'm gonna make the parade any which way as long as they want me to.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll carry it on, but it's all about tradition, so. that's it,
Thank you.
that's it. You're welcome.
Nice to meet you. And the advertising, is that like in the Eagle?
That's the big cost under advertising. I think it's about $850 for the Eagle.
Yeah.
And then there's cost for producing some of the signs that are distributed in the area advertising the event.
Yeah.
Posters and things like that. And those costs have, you know, increased every year. The Eagle cost has gone up a lot in the last few years, so it's.
Yeah.
Some of the big things like in the grounds, the golf carts that we rent are a couple $1,000s that.
I have an idea for that, so just come to the next meeting. I can save you on that cost.
So,
I was looking for it.
my initial thoughts are, we had an outstanding request, from the Franklin Preschool to assist with the playground. The fact that we're able to support them through CDBG funds rather than our own, I think which I supported using our own funds to support them. So my initial inclination is to, or my favor would be to go in favor of the Franklin Preschool for this year. However, that's with the caveat that I think we need to have a larger conversation around community organizations and support. So that's not to say that I want this conversation to end, but as you all noted, it's something that you talked about as an annual reoccurring, and that's not foreign from other organizations that provide services. And so I just think that we need to collectively have that policy discussion on, you know, how we try and take our minimal funds that we do have and make sure that we're benefiting the community the best that we can.
Well, thanks everyone for coming here. We have two, I think, critical assets of the village represented here today. The Roundup is such an amazing event. It really does put the spotlight on Franklin, and thanks to everyone who makes that happen. And the playground is something that's just used on a daily basis by so many residents. I think many people would be surprised to learn that it was privately owned and wasn't actually a literal asset of the community. So I wholeheartedly support both organizations. I think there are, though, questions about the FCA's eligibility for this particular funding source. And so with that said, I think that it makes sense for us, for today's purposes, to make the award to the preschool. However, I think subject to ongoing discussions about support for FCA and for the Roundup in particular.
All right, so as I mentioned at the last meeting, I think that our CDBG funds are a portion of what we should be allocating on an annual basis to the various organizations that support our residents in different capacities. For years we gave, and I'm reiterating, for years we gave money to Next. They provide our community with senior services. They eventually found their way into our budget. We at times gave money to the Birmingham Youth Assistance, which provides youth assistance to our community. And we had a discussion at times of getting them into the budget. as part of Rachel's purchasing policy, she's educated us a bit on what we can on an annual basis do with money that we have, and that just our regular general fund money, we can't just donate to a charitable organization unless we're getting some type of public benefit back. And it seems that the two organizations in our room today, the Birmingham Youth Assistance, the next, they all provide public benefits and public services to us in various ways. So I personally would like to see in ongoing budget years, particularly for the last 2 years, we've had money allocated for what we've called special projects. And that has been at least $100,000 each year, and it's unfortunately not gone to the greatest as far as fund projects in the last couple of years, but it is money we've had in the budget that I would like to consider moving forward and having some of that money go to some of these organizations that don't get the opportunity to receive CDBG money. That our CDBG money can't be the only money that we're prepared to share with these organizations that provide irreplaceable services to us. And the CDBG is one of the opportunities where we can do it without necessarily having to receive a quid pro quo in any way. But I don't see any way that moving forward, we can't consider all the groups that have, or, you know, to the extent the groups that I've mentioned, but these various groups that have ongoing, regular support that we can't just give money, but can certainly enter into arrangements with them. As everybody has said, the request from the preschool has been on our plate for 4 months now. Whether it was CDBG money or not CDBG money, we were gonna figure out a way to do that. You know, they certainly provide us with a benefit and a service. They, as you know, Angelina said, they could put a fence around it and a lock on it, and we would have no use of it. So, you know, we, on an annual basis, can be entering into license agreements with them to use the playground, and then be able to allocate budget money, because now it's not a gift to a charitable organization, there's a quid pro quo. We have the same thing with the FCA, the same thing with the Birmingham Youth Assistance. So I would like to not consider, when we're dealing with our CDBG allocation, to have it seem as if that's the only way we're looking at it. Because to the extent it's available, and to the extent we don't have other projects that we need to address throughout the course of a year, as we know, the last 2 years, there were mechanical failures in between the two buildings that we had to deal with, but this year, there haven't been, and we're now halfway through the year and haven't really done anything with it. So I'd still like to not forget about that dialogue and that discussion moving forward, notwithstanding what takes place today. It would seem, based upon the four of you having spoke before me, that it looks like the consensus for this allocation of this CDBG fiscal year would be to go to the preschool to address that concern. And I know that the request that came to us had $4,000 sort of as a minimum, what they could use on an annual basis. And it certainly seems like the FCA could use assistance. And, I mean, we already have other projects in the works that we're trying to gain funding to enhance the FCA property, village property. So I just wanted to make sure that we don't forget that we have opportunities, and we do, I feel, have a duty in some way to support these other organizations when it's available in our budget to do so. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah. I agree with President Goldberg. Like the finance committee, I think starts meeting in January. I think we need to look at like what can we give permanently to the FCA, whether it's for a roundup or another thing, and then they can use that money that they don't spend on, you know, all the other maintenance expenses they have.
I think those
on
are the big
roundup.
kitty, yeah, if we could somehow
Yeah.
allocate it to one certain place, so,
Yeah.
you know, call it a sponsorship, as you call it, some level of ownership, share in that event, which we do. I fully support
Yeah.
that. So, any other discussion, any other comments from the public?
Sorry,
Anybody
this
wanna
is a
make
question.
them-
Do you guys do any surveying from the members who didn't renew their membership? Like, did they say why? Is it people moving out? Is it?
So we haven't done that. 2 years ago, we moved to a new website platform that has a lot of really great membership capabilities.
Yeah.
And just this year, we figured out how to like delineate the people who were members in 2024 and not 2025. We haven't been able to do anything like that, but that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
To figure out how many people didn't renew year over year and what the
Yeah.
reasons.
I just know I always get texts like, what time does the roundup start? I'm like, it's not the village. I was like, let me pull up the advertisement, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I don't know, you know? But like, I think it's just awareness and education too, like, you know, and so, and then when people move here from another city, like I grew up in a city with Parks and Rec, you know, so like they do think Parks and Recreation is part of the village. So it's like hard to reprogram someone's brain of like, well, of course, I mean, the playground has to belong to the, you know, to the village. Who else is going to have a playground, you know, or like the, you know, tennis courts are open to everyone because that's part of the park. Like, nope, you know, and it's not like you're going to put a sign. I mean, you guys have signs, but like not everyone reads the signs, and they could just think FCA means the department under the village, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, it has the word Franklin in it. And same for the preschool. Whenever I say like Franklin preschool, oh, your village has.
When someone moves into the village, we do have a packet of materials.
Okay.
That we give to them.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Lisa is the official welcome
Yeah.
page. She puts together-
I know, she's so
Oh,
good.
yeah, we've seen that, yeah, that package is great.
Yeah, I mean, I still tell people, I'm just like, you know, it's separate, like you have to, you know, make sure you subscribe or like put your email in, but, you know.
We do a number of mailings. We put up the villager newsletter that goes out right
I get
now
it pretty regularly.
twice a year
Yeah.
at least. And we always put together, we do a membership letter twice a year.
Yeah.
And those go to all of the homes in Franklin.
Yeah.
We tend to have a lot of engagement from the physical mailings.
Yeah.
But we try, you know, we try to do our best on email. And
Yeah.
we have a really large email list, which is great. We have a really high open rate.
Yeah.
People love coming to our
Yeah,
events.
I think
It's just-
it's also too hard because like Birmingham does a lot of their city sponsors their music and their nights, and like Farmington Hills, and so even in the area, we don't have that, like the FCA is distinct, you know, so people just kind of put it together, I think, like a Night in the Stars or whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's not your fault. It's just like hard for people to think, oh, it must be.
Yeah, and we also get a lot of requests about things that have nothing to do with FCA.
Yeah.
They think that's what it is, so it's.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to allocate the funds, CDBG funds, to the Franklin Preschool.
I'll second.
For program year 2026.
Correct.
Motion by Ferris, second by Sally. Okay, right, so the full amount, also in the full amount of $7,000.
Correct.
Thank you. So we have a motion that's been clarified.
And
Second.
seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you both. So the dialogue, again, I just want everyone to understand the dialogue's not over at this point in the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give it to any other organization than a Franklin one. Like, I'm glad that the last couple years, we've
For sure.
kind of brought it back home.
No,
to
that's, yeah, absolutely.
nonprofits that serve Franklin. Because I think for a while it was like, Birmingham has so many
And as
great.
you've been learning, just so you know, and we'll figure it out, but the money doesn't come so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it won't be there probably for how long?
this year.
About this time next year.
Okay,
Oh, this time next year?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They, wait, we don't get it until this time next
It's crazy how bad it is. We haven't even given.
So my only request would be then,
Money yet. We don't
if
have-
we could help provide timelines for the sorry, not the FCA, for the Franklin Preschool, for when it needs to be expended by, if you're doing an allocation for sand and mulch, just so you know the time it has to be expended if you already paid for it.
Are you the POC? Do you want to give Rachel your number and stuff, Sasha? Point of
Point of
contact.
contact.
Oh, yeah. And Holly, like, and just so you guys know, Holly runs the bake sale, you know, at the FCA. So like, it's all for the community. She only brought in $514. We'll have to talk to her about that. I think she was giving away some free pastries.
We suffered from a lack of donated baked goods this year.
Yeah.
Everything was sold.
Real, I know. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Last thing we're gonna consider tonight is the purchasing policy, which we had reviewed at last meeting. I know that a couple trustees, I think David, Angelina, you guys both had some comments which have now found their way to Rachel and incorporated in here.
Yes.
Peter, oh, hold on one second, Angelina. Peter, do you have any comments on this?
No, I worked together with Rachel, I reviewed the meeting, I think I captured everybody's comments that were made that I found you guys had a consensus on. I can point those out. They are in section 2(1)AI. I think you guys wanted some background, you wanted me to include where this authority comes from, and if there was any inconsistency that obviously the charter and ordinance would prevail, so I incorporated that. And then if going down to section 2(1)F, 2(i), there's a general consensus on what type of authority would be given if there was an emergency or disaster situation. And we said if the village doesn't have the ability to act in an ordinary course because of some extraneous event, fire, flood, windstorm, or something like that, then the village administrator may go ahead and bypass the normal procedures to purchase, and that would be granted for a 48-hour period. The next discussion was under J2, I think that's where I put it, where if the village council approves of a contract that maybe is for a 5-year duration, but then there are options, I shouldn't say, a 5-year duration, but the contract only renews every year or every 2 years, the administrator would be able to go ahead and exercise that option. And I think I summarized that, memorialized that under JII. It states, the village administrator has the authority to exercise option years in contracts that were previously approved by village council, so long as the contract duration is no longer than 5 years.
So does that mean the original contract duration is no longer than 5 years, or the original contract plus whatever options the administrator is exercising doesn't go beyond 5 years? Or does that mean that the option can't be more than 5 years?
I think it was 5-year duration, the way I reviewed.
5-year duration collectively.
Yeah.
So it was originally a 1-year contract, was originally a 3-year contract, it has renewable things, the whole contract in totality between original contract and her not having come to council for authority exercise means the whole contract can't extend beyond 5 years.
At least once, I think, what was that when I talked? At least once every 5 years, council would be reviewing a contract for the same services.
Okay,
So like
that
market
does
research
mean-
would have to be
So
done.
that does mean in totality. So then the language I had said no, then this language stays, because that's what the intention was. The whole contract and the options can't go beyond 5 years.
It could, but she couldn't
With-
exercise it
Oh, right,
without
yeah, any,
counsel.
the original term of the contract that we approved, and any options that she's exercising can't in totality go beyond 5 years without coming back to us to renew whatever the.
Is that
I'm fine
language
with that.
firm enough then here to reflect that? It feels like it may not be.
Well, it should be so long as the contract duration, including all options, are no longer than 5 years. Or all exercised options are no longer than 5 years.
We could just add another sentence that says, anything over 5 years, the contract must be brought to the village council for approval.
Yeah,
It's like inclusive of any
inclusive of
additional
all
contract
options, yeah.
extensions or
Inclusive of extensions, yeah,
Approval or extension.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, we can fix the language either way, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
to
sure we
me, I
understood
think
the
that,
concept. And if the concept is, yeah, every 5 years, we should be renewing something, we shouldn't sign a 3-year contract and then have the administrator exercising another 5 year of options, and now we've gone 8 years without visiting a contract.
Exactly.
No, I wasn't questioning it, I was just trying to understand it, because I think either way, it needs to have a little bit of a tweaking in the language.
Okay.
Now we're clarifying the language to be in totality before without coming back to council again, can't be more than 5 years.
Got it.
Yeah, that's good.
As a government, how long can you bind contracts? Can you bind a future council by a long-term contract?
Oh, yeah.
Our police contract
So
is,
other than labor, can you really go and bind, you could pass budgets and lock down.
But option years don't bind anyone.
because
They
it's
have
an
to be
exercise
exercised.
of it.
Yeah.
It all depends on the statute too. There's some statute that says you can't bind more than 40 years, for example. So I think it's statute specific, but yes, this happens all the time because trustees resign, vacancies, all that. So, there's turnover of trustees and village councils, so yes.
Well, as long as it doesn't breach a contract, a future council can always change any existing contract we have, as long as it's done within the terms of the contract.
Sure.
Without breach.
Correct.
Now, maybe as a general, well, you know, as you said, our council's, every 2 years, our council is changing, potentially.
You're not getting future budgets, that's all.
That,
Well,
If
yeah,
you
we
have the
don't operate,
predictability.
we don't
Yeah,
operate
so
in a vacuum on a
I guess-
year-by-year basis.
I think David and I, our intent was like, if you can't, to avoid the administrator going out to bid on a public works contract every 2 years, but at least at a minimum every 5 years, because the market conditions have changed, she would be doing that. But in between, she could exercise option years. And then what if we have like a 2-year contract? We want to rebid it, but there's not enough time. She could exercise, a 12-month option while we buy time to develop a new solicitation and put it out to award. Right?
Well, it's just more for the need to go out and rebid something every 5 years. And that's different than, I see that.
Yeah, you're on the finance committee. Do you think that's,
Well, I just want to make sure you're not obligating, you're not binding future budget numbers. Other than the.
We always buy future budget numbers.
I think there's clauses in there saying you can't allocate future budget years. We have to get allocated budgets every year to spend it on leases. You have the option to withdraw any lease. I just want to make sure.
I'm
Well, then
not sure I
that-
agree with that, Rick. We have contracts with priority that go beyond.
I just don't want to make sure it's doable, that's all. I know you have long-term contracts.
yeah, a municipality has the authority to bind itself, obviously, to contract durations, so long as you're not running afoul of the charter or statutes or stuff like that. You're allowed to do it, and it provides the predictability too when it comes to budgets.
I think what Rick is saying is because we only get, we only have money every calendar year, we shouldn't have a contract that has a base year longer than 12 months because we wouldn't be able to pay for it.
I think we can.
It's not possible.
Okay, so here's, from a federal perspective, that's a different form of government, right? Because part of the allocations is to create the separation of powers between the executive, which is the one actually doing the expenditure of funds against the legislative. But point taken, there's no, the only thing you're saying is from a policy perspective, making sure that we are not unintentionally violating something. Peter, it sounds like we're not. And more importantly, that wouldn't even be necessarily contemplated in this policy, because if that were something, we could just obligate it as a condition within the contract negotiated.
Yeah, and I talked
Get
to
us
Rachel
out.
about that, like termination clauses that she's gonna include in the
Right.
contracts to prevent us from.
Yeah, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay, I don't understand where that comes from at all. We have contracts, numerous contracts that go beyond 1 year. I mean, that's how we couldn't have a collective bargaining agreement with our police force. We couldn't have contracts with our service providers if we were, not to mention, we wouldn't get the benefit of bargains because every year we would be subject to them changing pricing on us. So I don't know where, I personally have never heard that. So if that's based on authority somewhere, I'd like to hear where that concept comes from. For our purposes, we would like to make sure that nothing's going out beyond 5 years before it's been revisited by this body. And I think that section can be addressed. So my comment was to that section, to clarify that, and then, so Peter, in the emergency section, there's this last sentence, this exception is granted for a 48-hour period. So there's gotta be a carve-out to that of some sort, because emergency situations can go beyond 48 hours. What happens after 48 hours is the administrator lost their emergency power, so this exception is granted for a 40-hour period, except when extenuating, I mean, there seems to me there, like, why is there a time period on it, I guess, at all, if it's an emergency? Who determine, like, does someone have to determine when the emergency ends? Is that what you're?
When I reviewed the video of the meeting, I think there was a 48-hour proposed, and it seemed like there was a consensus. Ultimately, you guys can change that right now.
Oh, okay, so that, you're talking, that you're basing that on our discussion, that's not based on law or anything?
Correct.
Gotcha, okay.
And I don't know if the basis was we could have a special meeting in 48 hours. But I did hear a 48-hour window. So I put it in there, but you guys are ultimately approving it, changing it, revising it.
Yeah, I mean, by charter, it takes 18 hours, or like roughly a day, to call a special meeting. If we're gonna put a period on this, I'd like to see it be closer to 3 or 4 days
Are we
before.
splitting hairs here?
Well, yeah, if we're in an emergency situation and our administrator can only authorize something for a 48-hour period, that seems pretty limited. If the intent was, we could get a special, the intent for limiting it was, well, we could always just get a special meeting called. I mean, if a tornado has hit Franklin, that's gonna be so easy to just get a special meeting called. So, that was just my point, and I was curious if it was by law. If it's not, and that was just by our discussion, then I'll defer to the rest of the council. If 48 hours seems like that's enough time to be in a quote-unquote emergency, then I'm fine with it.
What would you guys do as a HR? What would you give your
I
absent
mean,
a
that-
board vote?
This wouldn't be written into any document I'd be writing, so.
I'm fine with like 5 days, if you think.
I would be fine with that. I mean, to me, a week is the
We have a
maximum.
snowstorm, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a snowstorm and Jerry's like, guys, I can knock off like a quarter of the village today, you need to talk to the county, call Bluefield Township, see if you can get one of, subcontract out one of their trucks. I mean, it seems to me that those are the types of circumstances that we're talking about, and only letting that authority last for 2 days without us just having to get together and say, yeah, absolutely, go spend whatever it takes, or, you know, go spend 20 grand. If you talk to them, oh, yeah, it's gonna be, you know, $3,000 a day to do it, and it's gonna take 2 days to dig us out, it would seem that, and maybe 5 seems maybe a little even long. I personally was thinking 72 hours, just 3 days. If it takes a day to call a meeting, a day to figure it out, day to call the meeting, have the meeting, and then, so that's what I thought.
I wonder if we even need a requirement, like a time limit on it at all?
I don't think we do.
I would prefer to strike a time limit.
Good.
That puts the
I'll be better
obligation,
with that.
it puts the obligation on us as trustees
On
to
us to
call
get
the
it
meeting.
together and the trust of our administrator that in an
Exactly.
emergency,
Exactly.
she's not gonna get wasteful. And if she has to get wasteful in an emergency, that seems to be the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with trustee Ferris. Because at what point are we gonna be like, no.
Again, I was wondering if the whole sentence was by law.
Yeah, by law.
And if it was just pulling out of comments from last meeting, and it seems like we're all kinda cool with just going with, let it roll, then I like that even better.
Yeah, I agree with trustee Ferris.
Good, good, good. Okay, so
More authority by the minute.
we have the purchasing policy that was presented to us, and I know Rachel did draft a proposed resolution to be used. What do I do with it?
This one?
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it anyways. Yeah, as long as someone has it.
Yep.
Okay. So it looks like the only changes we are proposing to the policy as presented are striking the last sentence of F small 2I and having Rachel rework the language at the end of J2 to make it clear that the duration of the contract and any options do not collectively extend beyond 5 years. Other than that, any other suggested changes to the policy as presented? So if anybody wants to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the Village of Franklin procurement purchasing credit card policy as amended per David Goldberg, President Goldberg's comments.
A second.
You good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Motion by Solly, second by Gates. Further discussion? Okay. So, we have a procurement policy. Excellent. Thank you for putting that together.
Okay.
So the motion carried.
Aye.
Oh, did I have a vote? Oh, I thought we
Yeah,
did.
we
All
just, yeah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? My bad. Motion carries.
Now you have a procurement policy.
So, I don't know if we're being recorded, just reminder, we have an open trustee position. Since we're not gonna have the meeting to discuss the candidates until our December 8th meeting, anybody who wants to put their name in the hat has until November 28th, end of business day, November 28th, to get that in. That'll give us a week to review, communicate with people, and then address at our December 8th meeting.
Perfect.
All
I
right?
have a question. Is the intent to do the appointment at the beginning so you can swear the person in and have them sit for that meeting?
Sure. Yeah, we'll discuss that at legal committee, but yeah, we can put that at the beginning of the agenda.
Because then we have a full body just in
That's
case.
fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, did you want to spend the meeting interviewing the trustee, or?
Yeah, it took us quite a bit of time last time.
Well, we're still gonna go through that whole process.
How is that gonna work?
Well,
Do you
we're
want to
gonna,
watch the meetings?
well, we will, at legal committee, we'll figure out where in the agenda to put in the, yeah, there's gonna be discussion,
Okay.
and then hopefully a motion, and hopefully a vote. We didn't get it done the first time, last time.
Okay.
But notwithstanding that, yes, the intent would be, you know, maybe still again, let Chief and Tony and Teresa get out of here. but then, you know, put ahead of all the business we're doing for the day. So that, as Angelina said, so that trustee can participate in all of our business actions.
I see.
They can still be
It's
sitting
clear
here
to me.
listening, yeah.
Okay.
They can still be listening to the other stuff.
Okay, thanks.
I will just take a position on this, so that it's here and not in our legal meeting. My preference would actually be to put it at the end for 2 reasons. One, while we're holding people longer by having it at the end of the meeting, as we learned last time, we don't know what the outcome's gonna be. And so I don't want, hopefully it's a fast vote, but if there's delayed conversation, that happened at the end of the meeting. The other thing as well is, the reason that we get the agendas ahead of time is to prepare for the meeting, and we would then be appointing somebody to then take votes on a packet they didn't
They
prepare
did
for.
review it. That's a fair comment. I like that. That's a fair comment.
So then the position would only be from January to November, right?
Well, we would swear them in at the end of the night, so that,
You
because
know,
we have,
honestly, when I was appointed in 22,
Mhm.
I had come to the meeting thinking they were gonna have a discussion on the subject, and they voted on it at the beginning of the meeting, and then made me come up there and sit for that meeting and participate in votes that I had no clue what I was talking about, and having been new, I wasn't even like keen enough to be like, I should probably be like even abstaining. So I actually do, from personal experience even, I do kind of understand where that's coming from.
Yep.
And that to put someone in that position and put the residents in the position that somebody's voting on something that they're not, so what do you guys think, 2 of you?
I feel like it took me a year to get settled in this, so I feel like it's one meeting. So I think that's a perfectly reasonable approach here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to save it for the end as well.
Yeah, you didn't come on until the next meeting, right?
You sat in on those meetings, though.
It was,
Sat in on several meetings.
it was 3 meetings.
No, but I mean, Dan didn't.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't even sworn in that day. That's why I
Right.
think he needs to be sworn in right at that meeting.
Swearing in part,
Yeah.
yeah, but he didn't,
No.
his first
Yep.
meeting was the next meeting of
Correct.
council. Right, so then
Correct.
let's do that. Let's do it at the end of the meeting. Well, all right, so good call.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussions before we go?
Oh, I guess just for Evan, when people apply, are you telling them to come to the meeting?
No, I haven't been saying anything other than receive it.
Do we need to
I'm sure anyone
communicate
can do it.
with, just so
Well,
we can like
what we'll
secure
what we'll
babysitters?
probably do is, when we get to the 28th, and we have, you know, everybody who has quote-unquote applied, that would probably be when we would send an email to all those candidates. They should have given us their email address and say, hey, we're hearing this on the 8th.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Make sure you're, if you
Because
want
it
to
is a
be.
Thanksgiving week, so like, if someone doesn't check their email, that there's consistent messaging.
Okay, we can reach out.
Mhm.
How many
Alright.
people have applied so far?
3.
Oh. Are 2 of them here?
At least one of them is.
I'm just thinking if that, like, you guys know to come to these meetings, so
Yeah.
is it a moot point?
All right, excellent. Anybody else? All right.
Almost.
Yeah, I always remember, do we have to move to it? Rachel, in your meetings that you've done in the past, because I've seen it done both ways, I'm just curious.
Move to end the meeting?
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
yeah.
I prefer that too.
I've always done it that way, but I've been to meetings where the chair just ends the meeting, I'm like, that seems weird. So, if I can get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Sally, second by Salaka. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, good job, everyone. Thank you.